Okay, so let's talk about one of the most just ambitious life stories in all of history.
Napoleon Bonaparte.
Exactly. Born August 15th, 1769 in Ajaccio, Corsica. This is a guy who just completely redrew the map of Europe.
And yet you have to frame his start. He wasn't born into French high society at all.
Not even close.
His family were minor nobility, sure, but they weren't wealthy. And the key thing is, he grew up speaking Corsican. French was his second language.
Right, which made him a total outsider when he went to military school in France at, what, 9 years old?
Around that, yeah.
Oh.
And he was teased constantly for his accent.
But he channeled that. He just crushed his studies, especially math and history, which makes sense.
It really does. And all that hard work got him a spot at the École Militaire in Paris, the really elite military college.
Yeah.
He trained as an artillery officer.
So that technical background, ballistics, trajectory, that was his foundation.
That was his superpower, really.
So he's this young, brilliant, and ambitious officer, and then the world just explodes.
The French Revolution,
Boom.
1789. The whole system just collapses.
Yeah. And for him, that chaos was an opportunity.
The biggest opportunity imaginable. You have to understand, the revolution wasn't just, a change of government. It was a complete social purge.
Right. The old guard was out.
They were completely out. The high-ranking officers, who were all noblemen, they either fled the country or, well, they were removed.
Which created this massive power vacuum.
A huge vacuum, yeah. And it opened the door for talent. For guys like Napoleon, who believed in merit, not your family name.
And he jumped right in, supporting the revolutionary ideas of equality and ending the monarchy.
He did. His loyalty to this new, really chaotic government in Paris, it earned him some powerful friends.
And that trust paid off almost immediately.
The Siege of Toulon in 1793. That was the moment.
Okay, so set the scene. The city of Toulon is held by royalists.
And they're backed by the British fleet, which is a huge problem.
And Napoleon is just an artillery captain.
Just a captain. But he comes up with this brilliant kind of radical plan.
He realized it wasn't about fighting in the streets, it was about the harbor.
Exactly. He saw that if he could get his cannons up on the hills overlooking the port, he could fire directly onto the British ships.
Forcing them to leave.
Forcing them to abandon the whole city. And it worked. It worked perfectly.
And the result of that?
He goes from captain to brigadier general overnight.
At just 24 years old.
24. It completely established his reputation. He was now known as a master tactician, a man who gets things done.
That momentum just carries him forward right into the Italian campaign of 1796.
Yeah, he's given command of the French army of Italy.
Yeah.
And this army was, well, it was a mess.
Underfunded, terrible morale, poorly equipped.
But he totally transformed it. He brought this new energy, this new speed. He would move his troops so fast that the enemy couldn't keep up.
And he inspired them. He don't just give orders, he promised them glory
And plunder. Let's be honest. He basically told them the rich plains of Italy would pay them.
And it worked. He won these incredible victories at places like Lodi and Arcole against armies that were way bigger than his.
And he wasn't just a general anymore. He was acting like a head of state. He was negotiating treaties, setting up new republics in Italy.
And sending tons of captured art and treasure back to Paris.
Which made him a massive national hero, the most famous man in France.
So his next move is even bigger. The 1798 expedition to Egypt.
This was a huge gamble. The idea was to threaten British trade routes to India, to hit them where it hurts.
But this is what's so interesting about Napoleon. It wasn't just a military mission.
No, not at all. He took over 160 scientists and scholars with him, the savants.
He wanted to study the history, the culture, everything.
It was a scientific expedition and a military invasion at the same time.
And that scientific part paid off in a way no one could have predicted.
Oh, yeah. His soldiers are just, digging fortifications, and they stumble on a slab of rock.
The Rosetta Stone.
The Rosetta Stone. The key that unlocked thousands of years of Egyptian history by letting us finally read hieroglyphics.
So an incredible cultural success. But the military campaign?
It's a total disaster. He wins the Battle of the Pyramids on land. But then the British Navy, led by Admiral Nelson, finds the French fleet.
And destroys it. At the Battle of the Nile.
Completely destroys it. The French army is now stranded in Egypt.
Cut off, facing disease, constant resistance. It was doomed.
It was. So Napoleon does something pretty incredible. He abandons his army.
Just leaves them there.
Leaves them there, sneaks back to France, and manages to spin the scientific discoveries as this huge victory.
And he arrives back in 1799 at the perfect moment.
The perfect moment. The government in France, the Directory, it's corrupt, it's unstable, and people are just exhausted by years of chaos.
They wanted order.
They craved order, and Napoleon was the man who could provide it.
So he takes part in a coup d'etat, a government overthrow.
He does. They dissolve the Directory and create a new government called the Consulate.
With 3 consuls. But let's be real, there was only one with all the power.
Napoleon, as first consul. He basically had the power of a dictator.
And he used it to fix things. He stabilized the economy. He made peace with the Catholic Church.
That was a huge deal. The Concordat of 1801, it brought so many people back on his side. He restored order.
People loved him for it. By 1802, he holds a vote and is made consul for life.
But even that wasn't enough for him.
No. In 1804, he makes the final leap.
He declares himself Emperor of the French.
And the coronation in Notre Dame Cathedral is just pure political theater.
It's incredible. He invites the Pope to come all the way to Paris to preside over it.
But then, at the key moment, he doesn't let the Pope crown him.
No. He takes the crown from the Pope's hands.
And puts it on his own head.
Yeah. The message couldn't be clearer. My power comes from me, from my achievements, not from God or from some ancient tradition.
So he's now the emperor, but if you look at his most lasting achievement, it might not be a battle at all.
I agree. You have to look at the law, the Napoleonic Code.
This is maybe his greatest legacy.
It really is. Before him, France was a legal mess. Hundreds of different local laws. It was confusing and unfair.
So the code unified everything. One set of clear written laws for the entire country.
For every single citizen. It was revolutionary. It guaranteed things like religious freedom and the right to own property.
And it said jobs should go to the most qualified person, not just someone with a fancy last name. Meritocracy.
Exactly. But we have to talk about the tension here because it wasn't all progressive.
Not at all. While it was great for men's legal equality, it was a huge step backward for women's rights.
A major step back. It made them legally subordinate to their husbands, and even more critically.
It restored slavery in the French colonies.
Which had been abolished during the Revolution, so it's complicated. It's both modernizing and, in some ways, deeply reactionary.
Still, its influence was enormous. Countries all over Europe and South America used it as a model for their own legal systems.
It's still the foundation of French law today.
Okay, so let's shift back to the battlefield, the early 1800s. This is the peak of his power.
This is when his Grande Armée seemed absolutely unstoppable.
And his greatest military moment, the one everyone studies, has to be the Battle of Austerlitz in 1805.
Oh, his masterpiece.
Yeah.
He's outnumbered, facing the combined armies of Austria and Russia.
But he uses psychology, uses the terrain. He deliberately makes his right flank look weak.
Right, to trick them. He baits them into attacking that side to overcommit their troops.
And while they're all bogged down there, he launches this massive surprise attack right through their center.
Smashes their lines, takes the high ground. It was a victory so total that Austria was forced out of the war immediately.
His power was just absolute. He's redrawing the map of Europe, putting his brothers and sisters on thrones.
But there's always one enemy he can't beat.
Great Britain, protected by the Royal Navy.
So he tries to beat them with economics, the continental system.
Which was basically a huge embargo. No one in Europe was allowed to trade with Britain.
The idea was to bankrupt them, but it was impossible to enforce. It just led to massive smuggling, and it hurt everyone's economy.
And it leads directly to his biggest mistake.
1812, the invasion of Russia.
He put together the largest European army ever seen, over 600,000 soldiers.
But the Russians refused to fight a major battle. They just kept retreating deeper and deeper into Russia.
And as they retreated, they burned everything. The scorched earth policy.
No food, no shelter, nothing for Napoleon's army. His supply lines were stretched to the breaking point.
He finally gets to Moscow, and what does he find?
An empty city. And then the Russians set it on fire.
So he's stuck there. Winter is coming. He has no supplies, and the Tsar won't surrender.
He has no choice. He has to retreat.
And the retreat is just one of the great horrors of history.
It's unimaginable. Freezing temperatures, starvation, disease, and the Russian Cossacks just constantly attacking, picking them off.
Of the more than 500,000 who went in, only a tiny fraction came back.
The Grande Armée was destroyed, and the myth of Napoleon's invincibility was shattered forever.
And the rest of Europe pounces on his weakness.
Immediately. He's defeated at the Battle of the Nations, and in 1814, he's forced to abdicate.
And they exile him to the island of Elba.
But he wasn't done. He escapes from Elba in 1815, lands in France.
And the soldiers sent to arrest him join him instead. It's an incredible comeback.
This period, the 100 Days. But it ends for good at the Battle of Waterloo.
where he's defeated by the combined British and Prussian armies.
And this time, they weren't taking any chances. No more islands in the Mediterranean.
No, they sent him to St. Helena, a tiny, remote rock in the middle of the South Atlantic.
The most isolated place they could find. Escape was impossible.
And he spends his last 6 years there, writing his memoirs, trying to shape his own legend.
He died there on May 5, 1821, at just 51 years old.
An incredible life. His body was eventually returned to Paris, where he's buried today.
The arc of his life is just staggering. He goes from this poor kid with an accent who's made fun of at school to the self-crowned emperor of most of Europe. He proved that ambition and talent could completely overturn the old world.
It makes you wonder, given the incredible balance of meritocracy and restriction found in the Napoleonic Code and the sheer destructive power of his military campaigns, did Napoleon create the framework for the modern state, or merely perfect the ultimate form of centralized individual dictatorship? Something to explore on your own. See you next time.